Hello and welcome to Scrapping on the Fly. My name is Kristen and I'm here with my Scraplift Crafternoon for Sunday the 5th of March. And today's sketch or layout, I'm sorry, I've done a lot of sketches lately, is by Chantal, and her Instagram account will be linked below. She's on the design team for Bramble Fox. And I'm doing something I've never done before. I'm actually stretching the sketch and making two layouts. So this video is a little bit longer than usual, but not by much, because I cut out a lot of the stuff that you don't need to see. So I don't know if you can get a vibe for what I'm working with here with all the red, white, and blue. All I am using is random stash from my collection or scraps. And this here is vellum. I've got some recollections. I've got some American crafts, scraps. I love this paper. I think it's making memories. I'm going to show you. There you go, making memories. I don't know how old it is. I've had it for a long time, I think. So I'm going to use these up to make the little sections. And I'm going to show you these lovely inks. And I'm not going to use them. They stay put over in the corner. And I never use them. So just heads up or that. Surprised enough for me. I used mixed media all the time. At least a little bit. But... so this should give you a better idea of what I'm documenting so I can prepare you now. If you're one of those emotionals like I am, this may be an emotional layout to see because it's pretty tear-jerking. I am using some Bramble Fox, which I thought was super fitting. Some of the reds out of here, and then of course the red, white, and blue out of this other one. And then I have these, my titles for each page are going to be these Bramble Fox perspectives, and so I'm really excited about using them on my layout. So like I said, I'm going to do two layouts, and here come the pictures. This is my son and a random stash of 7 pictures of him. We surprised him when his dad came home. I'll get into a little bit more detail while I'm doing all the monotony. And then there's the heartbreaker, my daughter. Yep. These pictures evoke a lot of emotion from me. A lot of emotion. From people who don't know them, they evoke a lot of emotion. So you can only imagine what it does to my mama heart. So I have my scraps and papers. I have my Bramble Fox. I have my embellishments, my mixed media that I don't use. And then, of course, all these lovely pictures and this really awesome layout. So let's see how this goes. So I'm not going to show you me cutting all of these papers by any means. Y'all know how to cut paper. So I cut all of them in 3.5 by 3.5 because that's going to give me 1.5 inches of space to work with to separate my pictures out from the right to the left and the top to the bottom. And so it also gives me space because my pictures are 2 3/4 to have a fatter base page or border around the pictures because I don't want it to be a real thin border. So most of this is either scraps or stash. Like I said, I've had a long time. These are, I think, from Stampin' Up, and I ended up pulling another one out because I couldn't get... Originally, I thought I was doing a 3x3, but decided I wanted a fatter border, so I knew I needed something bigger. When I had a 6x6 paper, I thought a 3x3, I could get 2 out of that. My trimmer was acting a little foolish, and it might be because I turned my mat, the little cutting mat part around, and it was fresh, so maybe the blade was getting caught in it. I don't know. This not attractive to me paper, but the red on this side was going to work for me. I don't like the quilty part on the other side, but that's okay. So after I get all of those trimmed out, I have everything matches except one of the blues. I have 2 different blues. So I'm not necessarily... I think I put it flip-flop, like everything is flip-flopped. But I want everything to be red, white, and blue to the right to left, and top to bottom. So that there's not red touching red except on the corners. And same thing with the blue. Like I don't want blue on top of blue or next to blue. So I'm just going to lay everything out and get an idea for how I want everything. I did consider the fact that I'd rather have split that two bold reds up, but I really wanted the vellum in the middle. I felt like it was a really good color and texture to have there. I did switch the red vellum with that white, the one that came from the quilty paper, and checked it out because I wanted to see how it looked on that title, and I don't like it as much. I think that that title with that Bramble Fox perspective, I think it really stands out much better on the red. Oh, so here they come. I'm leaving the lined paper as my journaling space because I'm going to journal on both, not on camera, but I do journal before I took my ending pictures, so you may see all that. I don't care. It's not terribly personal. I mean, any more personal than sharing these pictures. I'm sure my daughter appreciates, now that she's 21, to have this picture out in the world. So my husband was deployed for the third time in 2012-13. He was in Africa for 10 months. And he was not supposed to come home until July. And it just so happened that I'm just pointing out that I'm going to back all of these pictures on a very thin black mat of 3 inches. But anyway, so we decided we were not going to tell our kids, just because if you know anything with military, they change their minds. Things happen. And that's not just the military, things happen if you're traveling and stuff, traffic and all those kinds of things. But obviously with the military, there are a whole lot more things that can happen. So we decided not to tell them until it got closer. And then we decided we weren't going to tell them at all and surprise them. So my kids stayed at other people's houses the night before so that they would not think, what is wrong with mom? Why is she going crazy all over the house, making sure it's clean, da-da-da-da. And I tried a white mat for the black because I thought it might help, but I didn't like that at all. So we're just leaving the white mat off and just doing black. So I have now attached everything but that vellum in the middle. Everything else is tacked down. So, and I'm thrilled with how well it came. The one picture's a little cockeyed, but overall, they're not. So now I'm just going to start decorating with all the Bramble Fox embellishments. For the most part, that's all I'm going to add you all. This is probably the least embellished layout I might have created in a long time. There is backings on the front and back of Bramble Fox's perspectives to keep them safe so they don't get scratched up or broke, or less likely to get broken, things like that. And they're really not hard to get off, but sometimes when they're itty bitties like this, like these are stars and hearts and stuff, and I think there's there's an XO for hugs and kisses, and I thought that was pretty fitting. So anyway, we decided that we would surprise our kids. So my son went to daycare in the morning, and my daughter was with my parents that week because she was going to horseback riding camp. And so first things first, I surprised him because I had lost 40 pounds while he was gone. Didn't tell him. And then we went and picked up our son, and he was at the daycare, and when he came in from the playground, he looked at his dad, and then he looked at me, and I had colored my hair the night before, and so I think he was really confused. And he looked back at his dad and just stared at him for a second with that sweet face in that very top left picture, and then attacked him, of course, and then would not let go, and then kept pulling back and looking at him, and then leaning in and hugging him again. And then that bottom right picture of him touching his face, it's just so precious to me. It just makes my heart smile and cry and all the things. So after that moment, we went to horseback riding camp which was why we waited for her to go second. Was because we wanted her to be able to get her full day of camp, and I picked him up at like 1:30, and she was gonna be done at 4. So it's not like we made her wait a terrible amount of time. I used Nuvo Deluxe adhesive to put that down, and I put a strip right down the middle so it'd be covered by the Bramble Fox perspective. But really, you can't even see the glue through there, so that makes me happy. Okay, so go to horseback riding camp. I get out of the car to go find her. I, of course, am all dressed up in all the things because you know, I wanted to look good. And so she sees me and she's like looking at me weird. Of course, I expected that. And she wasn't suspicious necessarily, she was confused. And then she looks past me, and that face in the top right corner of her layout is what you get. And she takes off running to her dad and, of course, hugs him and bawls like a baby and is hysterical. And she's the drama one. All in good. I love them both. She's a little bit more dramatic than my son, although he has his moments. So anyway, and my niece was there because she was also at horseback riding camp. And so after Katie's big hug, my niece came and hugged them too. But I just wanted these pictures to be of those. Each one of them, it was one of the best days of my life, honestly, just to be able to see their faces. So it was truly a blessing to be able to do that for them. And I had a friend of mine from college as a photographer, and so she came and did the pictures so that I could be in the moment, which was amazing. Because, you know, as scrappers especially, we are usually the ones taking the pictures and not in the pictures. And I promise there are plenty of pictures of me, but this layout called for these pictures because there's so many of them. It's hard to pick which one I would want to document, because I've already documented this for them. I've documented it in his military book. I've documented it for a ton of other things, but this layout called for these pictures. So there are more of them, but they're pretty much the same, you know, kind of situation where he's hugging him or he's not hugging him. He's staring at him like, is this for real? And then we have family pictures, and then we surprised our dog. So, I mean, it was like a whole thing. So these little dog tags were actually connected. So I cut them apart and used them so that I could put one on each of the little pieces of vellum. And I didn't want to completely cover the vellum, but I did want to put most of my things in that area. I didn't want to put a bunch of other things on there. And I did consider, my original plan was I was going to ink the white papers with the red and the blue inks, but then I changed my mind, and I still may go in with a pen and trace around them so there is more definition where those 3 white papers are, but I haven't decided, and I really wasn't risking any kind of mixed media. So I pulled out my Tim Holtz and I got 6 word phrases. I didn't want to put them on all the pictures, but I did put them on 3 on each layout. One, I can't remember exactly what they say. One's like, I love us. One says something about embracing life. I can't even remember you all. I just did this, but I've been putting it off, and I've had these pictures ready and trimmed down to the 2 3/4 for almost a week. I've been telling this paper snob that I need to get this done, and I just haven't done it. So here it is, it's done, and I'm so thrilled and pleased with the way that it turned out. I mean, look at that face. I mean, how can that face? Oh, God bless. So I'm glad that I have it done. I do journal, like I said there, and fill up both of those spaces about each of the kiddos' specific situations or encounters with their dad. So, and then I'll do something similar maybe with the rest of the pictures using these same kind of scrappy bits and things, but not as many pictures like for me or for our dog or whatever. But anyway, I hope you will go check out Chantal on Instagram. Her information will be below. And definitely go check out the other ladies and how they see this layout and how they lift it and make it their own. And I hope you'll come back and see me again later. Have a great day and happy scrapping.